Good morning, everyone watching live on BAM YouTube. Let me know in the comments you are tuning in live from. She covers what you need to know about the real estate industry in a 24-hour time period. And on today's topic, I will go deeper into Powell's latest remarks on Capitol Hill, day 2, how local governments are impacting the Fed's fight against inflation, and the increase in mortgage applications. We've got some good news to share on that. Today is Thursday, March 9th, 2023. I am Byron Lazine, and the hot sheet starts now. No, we're not starting it, Bobby. Don't we usually do? I said the hot sheet starts now, and I don't know if my internet's lagging, but I just see you staring back at me.
Your internet was totally lagging a little bit there. We definitely started. And welcome,
All right,
everybody.
So welcome, everybody. I've got Bobby, the BAM video producer, here because I am obviously not in studio, and we want to make sure that this show doesn't go completely off the rails. I'm working off of hotel internet. I'm at the Phoenician in Arizona, by the way. If you ever get a chance to... That's blown out, but I promise you that is a unique view. If you ever get a chance to come here, definitely do it. Stopped in Scottsdale on my way to Eric, the broke agent's wedding, and we don't stop. The hot sheet doesn't stop. So we're going to hopefully deliver best we can on the internet that we have. Hit the thumbs up if you
Eric
could.
doesn't know, but tomorrow's hot sheet's going to be live from the ceremony, actually, right in the wedding hall.
Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't know that part yet, but that's absolutely what is happening. So hit the thumbs up and share this. I'm going to go deeper into Powell's comments, and let's just jump right into that. So Powell, day 2, he sat in front of the House. Day 1, which we covered yesterday. If you missed yesterday's hot sheet, definitely after this one, go back and check it out, okay? We went deep on his day 1 comments in front of the Senate committee. Yesterday, he was in front of the House committee. Now, unfortunately, I watched that entire 3-hour, panel with him and all of the House representatives that were on this committee. And you know the format. It's everybody gets 5 minutes to speak. They go left, right. Everybody kind of gets their turn, 5-minute segments, which is a really odd way to really go deep on a particular topic, but that's how they choose to do it. I watched the entire 3 hours on the flight out here. And so I probably would not have gotten a chance to watch the entire thing. I would have probably searched, certain segments that related to housing, but I sat through this whole thing. Very interesting. A lot of these people on the committee use their 5 minutes to get their political statement out there because, they're going to have a 5-minute, clip that gets played in a bunch of different places. So there was a lot of that going on, and there was very few that actually into housing. All right. So I'm going to share my thoughts on what there. It's really a shame just overall when you watch something like that, where both sides of the aisle, where their mind at and how little they actually understand about the financial system here in America. It's actually pretty troubling. There's one, I won't mention her name, but she asked Jerome Powell, and for everything that all the beating up that I maybe did on Jerome Powell yesterday, I'm going to give him a little bit of credit here because he was asked by one of our representatives. I think it's easier to get into the House and the Senate comments if that's the case, but one of the House representatives asked him if people that are collecting unemployment benefits count towards unemployment. That was a legit question yesterday. So, you can see that there was not a lot of brilliance coming from. Yeah, it was this is both sides. I mean, it was insane to watch the 3-hour thing. I wouldn't suggest it for anybody. Okay. Give Powell credit. He appears to not be, supporting these political conversations that they keep trying to drag him into. He appears, and a lot of people did thank him for that on both sides. He appears to be staying very committed to, doing what's right for the American economy. Okay, so he's steadfast in what he said day 1. He is going to do the job until it gets done. And his job is to bring inflation down to 2%. Now, there's obviously a debate on whether 2% is the right number, but that's where he's at. They're going to continue to work towards that. They asked him a whole bunch about the debt ceiling, which is coming up in June, right? We're as a country, we're not going to be able to pay our bills if we don't increase the debt ceiling or reduce, spending. Obviously, could be another scenario that's not really being talked about that much, but he has no role in that. And he made it very clear to the House, as he did the Senate the day before, that there's no rabbit in the Fed's hat. He can't do anything. That is going to be on our elected officials to figure that out. So they kept trying to drag him into that conversation. Okay. When asked about housing specifically, some people echoed, Senator Warnock's comments that I thought he did the best job the day before of anybody in 2 days of really asking specific questions about the housing. And remember, Senator Warnock from Georgia said, let's make sure that the cure is not worse than the disease, right? And when we're talking about housing, because interest rates are getting so high, and we know that interest rates and specifically what's going on with them is something that impacts affordability. It's less affordable right now to buy a home than it was even a year ago, right?
Great.
Price
Awesome.
necessarily coming down. I'm sorry, Bobby, what was that?
I said awesome, great. That's great news for all potential home buyers out there.
Yeah, exactly. I thought maybe I was lagging. Internet's still good, right?
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
All right, good. Yeah, and so Warnock really dug into that. We had some people echo that. I thought an interesting comment from the House committee yesterday was also, okay, this is costly. I think this gentleman was from South Carolina. He says, we've got people coming in to this particular state. Let me know if you're in a state where you have migration coming in. And so he said to Powell, does this interest rate stop builders from being able to expand inventory? Does it decrease their chances from builders being able to go out there and put supply in the market? And he said, absolutely, it does. It hurts their chance. So he's not saying the interest rate is good for home buyers, specifically lower income home buyers. He's owning that. He's saying this is not good for affordability of housing, but that he wants to reset those home prices. So he's acknowledging it. So you might say, well, okay, we're making it harder for lower income families. If you're following the hot sheet, I've been, very passionate about affordable housing. We need more affordable housing. It's becoming more rare and rare every single day to find affordable housing. If you go to yesterday's hot sheet, we showed you the chart from Redfin where affordable housing it's at an ridiculously low point, near all-time low, if not at all-time low. And so we definitely need more of that. You would think that we need to create an environment where builders can go out there and build. We're not creating that environment. We're making it harder for builders. We're making it harder for first-time buyers and startup buyers to go out there and obtain a mortgage and get an affordable house. All of that to fight inflation. Obviously, inflation is bad. And everybody on the House committee there that was asking Jerome Powell these questions were in agreement. We don't want inflation, but it's almost like they want to raise the debt ceiling. Okay. They want to get inflation down, and they want to spend money, right? And they want low interest rates. And so what Jerome Powell is saying is we can't have all of it. Okay. And now I would say that, and where I've been hard on Jerome Powell is that he went way too far. The money printing machine lasted way too long. And maybe at that point, the Fed was highly influenced by these politicians, by Capitol Hill, to continue this money printing machine. But they likely went too far in the wrong direction, and now they're going to have to put this economy potentially into a recession. There were some House representatives that put them on that. They pushed them on the numbers, and you've probably seen some reports maybe this week where, hey, unemployment's going to have to get up over 7% for us to get inflation down to 2%. Jerome Powell did push back on that a little bit. Okay, he said, well, not necessarily, but yes, likely we're going to see, and so likely going to see job loss have to be a part of the solution. Now, what's interesting here, and this will be my final thought on Powell's day two. we don't hear anybody from either side of the aisle suggesting that we should stop government spending. Okay, I talk about it a little bit, but not really. If you really dig in, really no side is supporting reducing government spending. And if you think about it, they want to raise the debt ceiling, which is going to put a whole bunch of money into all kinds of different things in the economy, right? It's a huge budget. Yet we have 11 million job openings, right? But we continue, the national government continues to hire. I don't know, there's a couple ways you can get us out of this inflation. There we get high unemployment. Logan Motoshami from Housing What's Out, increase payroll tax. That's another way to do it, which, oh, by the way, Logan, that would increase. That's a form of increasing unemployment. If we increase payroll tax, some people are going to, some businesses rather are going to have to lay off. Okay, so you can do that, or you could actually reduce the amount of money this government spends. Just a thought, not really anything that
It's a noble
that
thought.
the
Nobody's
House.
ever thought of that one before.
No,
Right.
nobody's ever thought of that apparently, because I watched 3 hours and really, none of these elected officials want to go there because they're taking, a lot of this money and spending it to their constituents' benefit, and that's how they get reelected. So obviously, there's a little bit of a game, but Jerome Powell definitely reiterated what he said on Monday. We are going to have to continue to increase the interest rate. And so, Bobby, if you actually show the first chart,
Yeah, and
if you
while I pull
could.
that up, can we get a way to go, Jerome, in the chat? That'd be
A way to go,
fantastic.
Jerome.
Hashtag way to go, Jerome, in the chat.
Hey, listen, I thought overall, because I know I was a little hard on him yesterday. I thought overall, especially day two with all these insane political comments, I thought he did a pretty good job, and he's doing a really good job staying out of the political warfare. Okay, so this came out uh, in the last couple days here, based off of Powell's comments. So the probability the Fed hikes 50 basis points on March 22nd. So you've seen the markets the last couple days react to his comments, and they've gone down quite a bit in the last couple days. Okay, so they've gone down because the markets have priced in a 25 basis point hike for March 22nd's meeting, and now they're really pricing in a 50 basis point hike. And you saw the projection go from, I think that lower number, Bobby, I can't really see it, but it's in the 30s to 60%, right? Let's go to the top line there. 31.38% on March 6th before Jerome started talking, and then 66% now of and this is, a whole bunch of investors that basically are polled here. Their belief is basically 2 out of 3 investors believe that the Fed is going to increase the federal rate hike to 50 basis points. Okay, and there's some belief that we could maybe go to 6%, which nobody was saying last year. We get up there, and it's going to be hard to keep that 30-year fixed, in the 5s. We're sitting in the 7s right now. Yesterday was another day in the 7% for the 30-year fix, because the 10-year continues to react to the uncertainty. So 10-year continues to go up based off of this stance that the Fed is taking right now, that they're going to do everything in their power to continue to fight inflation. Loving and living in Sarasota, if you don't spend it all, they reduce your budget. Okay, yeah.
And we can't have that. The government doesn't want that.
No, I mean, listen, I don't know the solution. I don't know the ins and the outs of the budget, but it's significant, and our expense on the interest. This was something that was really interesting yesterday, listening to the 3 hours, because they did get into this a bunch. And then we'll move on here to a local government topic, which I think will be relevant to everybody. Their expense on the interest is approaching what we spend on defense and Medicare. Okay, so it's a huge number. And so Powell said we can service our debt as a country right now, not without Congress taking action, which would be either reducing spending, which nobody says, or raising the debt ceiling to meet the needs. But what we're doing as a country, he said it maybe 20 times yesterday, is unsustainable long term. So eventually we would have to make a decision at some point in our lives, um, as Americans, as a government, spend less. I don't know how we get there, and maybe, there's a whole bunch of scenarios. Maybe we can reduce energy costs significantly down to nothing, and that would help. But um, there's no rabbit coming out of the Fed's hat, and he's going to continue to stay in his lane, so to speak, do his job, really fight the inflation by jacking up this federal interest rate. And it's pretty clear, and the chart's pretty clear there, that it's going to be more significant than the last increases. As a former DC resident, George Carlin said it best: "It's a big club. I'm not in the club, George." So that's certainly clear from watching the 3
Classic
hours.
George Carlin line.
Let's go to a Bloomberg article, Bobby. Stealth fiscal stimulus is complicating the Fed's job. Okay, so this is kind of a good segue off of what we just spoke about. Okay, so the Fed made their own job hard, basically. So Jerome Powell went too far in one direction by printing all this money. Now there's all this money in the system, and he's trying to get rid of it. Well, you created it, Jerome. You're the one that went too far in the other direction. So state and local governments are flush with cash, which may enable the economy to avoid a recession. Okay, so state and locally, we typically have rainy day funds in all of these governments. Some are better than others, right? If you're in a state like Loving and living in Sarasota, they've got a pretty big, Florida, I know in particular, has a pretty big rainy day fund and excess cash. Let me know what your state looks like in terms of excess cash. The 2001 and 2008 recessions, okay, the median state had an equivalent of 17 days of operating costs in the rainy day fund. That doesn't sound like a lot. The median state now, at the end of 2022, has an estimated 42 days of spending in its rainy day fund. Okay, so a lot more than 17 days. We're looking at a month and a half instead of a half a month. Okay, so we're like 3x the amount, almost, two and a half x, I guess, the amount for median rainy day fund for the median state. Okay, great. So we may be heading into a recession based off of, what Powell is saying, and based off of where we're heading. But these local and state governments are in a much better situation with their rainy day funds. So that's 135.5 billion, according to Pew Charitable Trust State Fiscal Health Project. The numbers imply that a typical state could weather a 12% drop in revenue. Way to go, Jerome. So a typical state could weather 12% drop in revenue if we go through a recession. If good hardworking Americans are laid off, then most of these states would have a drop in revenue for sure. Okay, so typical state can weather a 12% drop, where before 2001, before 2008, a typical state could only weather a 5% drop in revenue, right? So not a 5% margin, not really a good margin. 12%, double digit, getting more into a healthy environment. Of course, they've got this money, these local state governments, because of the money printed during the last couple of years, on 2020, 2021, and even maybe a little bit early 2022. On top of that, state and local governments still have between 150 and 200 billion in pandemic relief funds that have yet to be allocated. Okay, or they've been allocated but have yet to be spent, rather. That's mostly on education. Bobby, if you wanted to show the couple of charts here that
we
are
have
in
a
this
chart
article
for that. Yeah.
We show all three here. So go to the first one. We'll go in order here. Yeah. Okay. So
it's pandemic effect.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Go to goods are in demand. Okay. So here we go. Explosion in consumer goods still dwarfs the rest of the economy. Okay. So real personal consumption expenditures is the blue line, and then real gross domestic product being the black line. Okay. So consumers are really spending a lot of money. This is one of the reasons why, another one of the reasons why state and local governments have so much money in their coffers, It's because while residents were, given money directly through stimulus, they went out and spent it. Okay, and so state tax. Right. One of the reasons why Florida's probably been so healthy the last couple of years is because while they don't have income tax, a lot of people had stimulus money. They were spending a whole bunch of money buying stuff. And then Florida was open for, large majority of the pandemic, basically all the pandemic, and people were vacationing there, right? So one of the things that drives these coffers is that state tax on goods and services. Okay, so goods are still in demand. They're high in demand. People want to spend money. The pandemic effect, money flowing into state coffers from sales taxes grew 50% than money flowing out. Okay, and then where are all the workers? Here's another interesting one early in the pandemic, and this will tie into what I was alluding to in the first topic. Okay, early in the pandemic, state and local job growth held steady with the private sector, but it's fallen behind since. Well, it's fallen behind because the private sector out there, and especially businesses under 250 million, 250 employees, not million, 250 employees, they're out hiring. There's 11 million job openings. Okay, so maybe if we spent a little less in government, creating government jobs. This is just a thought. Don't get riled up. And you could debate this in the comments. I'm just basically, trying to think practically off of that 3-hour insane session on Capitol Hill that I witnessed yesterday.
I have to ask, Byron, because I'm sure people wonder, was there nothing good on the in-flight TV? Yeah, for the 3-hour flight, it was just the Jerome Powell thing.
I'm doing it for the hot sheet, Bobby. I figured I'd watch that. Get less sleep. I only have Eric's wedding to go to at the end of the week, so I don't need much sleep for that. But if we created less government job, maybe we wouldn't need as big of a budget. This is just a thought, okay? Because nobody has a solution here for this clearly, other than driving up interest rates, killing housing. It's the only tool in Jerome's toolbox right now is to kill the housing market, which creates more renters, which puts people out of work. All these different scenarios. What if we had less government jobs and maybe there's 11 million other job openings in the private sector, we go and fill up some of those. It's just a thought. I don't know if that's practical or not, if that makes sense to anybody, or if I'm completely out of my league.
We needed all of those IRS agents that they hired. That's what it was. Here's
the thing. We're talking about stopping inflation, and all we're doing as a country and as consumers is spending. So there's going to have to be an end to the spending at some point. Over Snakes on a Plane. What's that? Is that something I should be aware of?
Okay. Snakes on a Plane is a classic Samuel L. Jackson, terrible movie, like so bad it's good type movie. Everything you need to know about it is in the title. It's an hour and a half of snakes on a plane.
I will never watch that. I can guarantee you that. That'll never be. Listen, as bad as it was for those 3 hours, I saw some insights of why I guess government is so dysfunctional at times, right? Obviously, we're privileged to be living here and all of that, but there's some interesting comments, and so, anyways, let's go to the last topic here, Bobby, and we've got good news to finish off here and get going into our Thursday. So let's get to the good news. We have a mortgage application increase for the last week, and Bobby, actually, why don't we start with the chart?
Yeah.
If we could, this shows you last week went up 7.4%. If you could zoom that in a little bit. So let's just look at the entire year. Okay. So we came into the year. Remember, we came in January feeling good. We had a 1.2% increase the first week of January. The second week of January, we saw a 28% increase in mortgage applications, right? And that's when we saw a lot of comments online from the real estate community. We're off and running. Demand is going to be a great spring. Multiple offers. And then week 3 in January went to 7% mortgage application increase. And then things started to get a little bit volatile, right? We've seen the 30-year fix start to really hurt these job applications. Mortgage applications. Usually you'll see mortgage applications continue to go up into the spring, but we haven't seen that. Okay. What do we see there? The end of January, 9% drop. Then we get into week 2 of February, 7.7 drop, 13%, 5%. Finally, though, we're back into the green, or on this chart, obviously the blue, where we should be on this time of year. And we have a 7.4% increase in mortgage applications. Date the rate, marry the house is I don't know about that one.
I sense some sarcasm in that one.
I think
I
he's
feel
definitely, or yeah, I think we're definitely sensing some satire there. Mortgage applications increased 7.4% from the week earlier. Okay, so that's our first increase. The market composite index, a measure of mortgage loan application volume, reported that, and on an unadjusted basis, the index increased 9% compared to the previous week. So the refinance index also increased 9% from the previous week. We showed a chart earlier on the hot sheet that people are pulling out more money than ever on these refis. So they're like, okay, is my equity going to go down? Maybe I should go grab this cash if I need it. That's a number I'm going to definitely be looking at because it's a little bit concerning as we move forward. Right? We're talking about this overspending. And so if people are grabbing cash, what are they going to do with it? They're going to go use it for something, theoretically, which doesn't help us with the inflation thing that Jerome Powell's after. 76% lower on the refis than a year ago.
Here.
Oh, we have a Dan. Let me
this
see.
Is on so the Dan O'Neill caliber here.
If anybody, this isn't Dan O'Neill.
No, this is something he would say, though. This is both say and do.
That is, I guess, technically what Dan did there. Okay, so anyway, who in the comments knows Dan O'Neill? Because I had a real insane experience with Dan. Anybody in the comments know this guy, Dan O'Neill, Danny Deals? He's the BAM captain, as we donned him a couple weeks ago. Anyways, Dan calls me this morning. I'm getting ready for the hot sheet. He's like, hey, can you come pick me up? I'm like, I'm in Scottsdale. You're in Tucson, and I'm about to do the hot sheet, and you're 2 minutes from where we're meeting later today. You could walk there, you could take an Uber, and I don't have a car. So no, I will not be picking you up, Danny Deal. So go roast them on Instagram or something, because that was just an insane comment.
The kid in high school who would call you 5 minutes before homeroom because he missed the bus, he needs to bum a ride? Let us know.
Just insane. Okay, so mortgage rates continue to increase, but despite that, getting back to reality here and not Dan, despite that, we finally saw an increase. Okay, this is that seasonal market. We would expect more increases in mortgage applications. If we don't see inventory increase and we continue to see mortgage applications increase, we're going to get into some hot water pricing. We had a bad week this week with inventory going down as much as it did the 2 weeks prior. We're continuing to go down in inventory. We need to see an inventory increase next week on the hot sheet. We really need to start getting into having the conversation that inventory is going up in almost every market in America. I know there's a few out there where that's the case, but most of them don't have enough inventory to cool pricing enough where maybe Jerome and the boys and girls on the committee will take a chill pill on the rates. Okay. Even with these higher rates, this uptick in applications last week, it included a holiday week, so that there was a pretty significant, I don't know if I'd say significant, but a notable increase here anyways. So good news there. We've got that chart below. All the charts and all of the sources that we always use are in the Tori O'Neill team. I love Dan. I'm just busting him there. So all of our charts that we use today, we use 5 charts, and all of our sources are always going to be available in one link down below. If you just sign up once, you get it emailed directly to you every single day. So that'll automatically come. For those that have missed past daily downloads and want access to that, I think we're going to group each month and then put it out into one place so people can grab those. I know that's been in the comments before, and so we're gonna try to make that happen here sooner than later. Oh, Long Island is a small world, is right. Long Island. Shout out to everybody in Long Island living. Bobby's from Long Island, so
I was gonna say I totally agree with you, Tori. It is an unfortunately small place, Long Island.
It's a scary place to be, that's for sure. It's Long Island.
It's a scary place to be.
It is. Shout out to the Long Islanders. They're tough living on that little island. All right. Appreciate you guys. I'm going to be going live tomorrow from Tucson as I get comfortable, settled in for the broke agent's wedding. He will now be the broke married man. Bobby, final thoughts from you on the show today.
Final thoughts is we need to talk about the 30-year fixed and the 10-year.
You're right.
I'm clinging to these numbers here, wanting to know what's
So I know we ended
on.
up over. Let's show the chart for the 30-year where we ended up yesterday, and then we'll look at the 10-year for where we're going today. Yesterday we ended up over 7%, so 7.05%. Obviously, the last 2 days we've been over 7%. That's due to the 10-year increasing off of Powell's comments and the market actually saying, hey, we're not in as great of a place. And you see here the 10-year down a tick. We can't maintain 4%, which is a good thing. We don't really want to maintain 4%. But every time we hit 4%, we kind of drop down below. So we're kind of like bouncing around 4% on the 10-year. I expect with what we just saw on the 10-year as of this minute, that we'll probably see the interest, the 30-year fix stay around 7% today. It feels like these projections that will be out of the 7% scenario come April, and quarter two will be in the sixes, and then these projections will be in the fives, quarter three, quarter four. It starts to feel right now, and a lot will depend on what they do March 23rd in the FOMC meeting. Okay. Appreciate you guys.
Your hotel Wi-Fi cut out there for a second there, so the people lost like your last 10 seconds. But Byron, I just gotta say, I posed in the comments right when we started. A lot of people loving the hot sheet tour. I said, where should the hot sheet go live from next?
Well, we'll be
getting
in Tucson
a lot of colleges.
Tomorrow.
We're getting a lot of colleges. When is the hot sheet college tour starting? I think this is what people want to know.
Listen, BAM we are modeling a lot of what we do with the disruption of media from how Barstool disrupted sports media. So maybe we should do a college tour. That was big for Barstool doing the college tour. I don't know.
That would be unhinged.
Where I'm going tomorrow,
the BAM college tour.
Tucson is a big college town. So I think somebody, what was the person? Did they just put up ASU? Is that
ASU?
That's Tucson, right? Arizona.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Yes, it is.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, maybe I'll go to the campus. Maybe they have better Wi-Fi than the hotel.
Live.
Sorry about the Wi-Fi. Thank you, Bobby, for jumping in and quarterbacking the hot sheet. Maybe, Bobby, the first day you truly produced the show. That's an inside joke, because I always tell Bobby, our lead producer, that I produce this show, which is half true as well. All right. We've got a big tour coming up because we're going to be in Portland. Bobby, why don't you link last call for anybody that wants to go to Turn On? We're going to be going live streaming from the Turn On event. This has never been done. Think
it
Super
is going to be
Radio
the
Row.
Biggest live stream anything BAM has ever done.
It's incredible. 1,000 watts Turn On event in Portland. So we'll be in Portland in a couple weeks. Next week, unfortunately, I think I have a little bit of potential travel in between. So the Hot Sheet Roadshow continues to roll on. Let's get to our day. Let's have a great Thursday. Yeah, Portland. So there's an event. Bobby, link that up for anybody that wants to miss it.
Yeah, Portland, Oregon. It's the Turn On event, and that'll be the week of the 20th.
The BAM code gets you $700 off that ticket. It's incredible venue, and there you go. That's the hot sheet. We'll see you guys back here tomorrow. Until then, toodaloo.